This is an emergency update. There has been a break-in at Raven Customs at Vulcan Raceway. I can't say too much because it is subject to an ongoing police investigation. It appears that Princess Sparkle was working after hours on her race car Bully Goat, and a group of assailants broke in, smashing into her daily driver and have abducted her. CCTV footage shows them. At least one of them was wearing a devil mask. Any more than that, I can't say. Here it is, the prize for the Lotus Shootout. It is a 2004 first edition Lotus Sport Elise in yellow. There is also a gold version of this, which I have, but this one I think makes a better prize for this, and I'm keeping the gold one because I love it. Anyway, this will be sent out to the winning driver wherever they are in the world. Good luck. Greetings Diecast Racing fans, Sharky here and welcome back to Vulcan Raceway for this episode 6 redemption of the Lotus Shootout. Today these 8 drivers have got their last chance to get through to the grand final next week, and it should be interesting. You've seen already that we have had an incident. Yeah, I can't say too much about that. Put that in at the front of this video as well as in a separate video. It happened after the filming of the bottom 8 and we're waiting to hear more. There appears to be an Australian link, or is it a New Zealand link? I'm not quite sure. It's certainly Southern Hemisphere, it's certainly an Anzac link going on there. We'll have to see how that works out. Anyway, today's 8 drivers. Car number 1, Patty Kakes in that yellow Lotus Europa. Car number 5, Q-Boyd, the reigning champion, his last chance to try and make a double this time in the Esprit, the gold and orange one. Then we've got car number 6, Greasy, in the silver 340. And then we have got Erick Z in that McDonald's the Sport. In set 2 we have got the hardest fight I think is going to be in set 2, and that actually may not help people because obviously it's on points scored. So we've got Strike in car 9, the white Sport. We've got John Receveur in the yellow version of that car, which is car 10. We've got Brandon, the reigning track record holder, in that lime Evora. Brandon from the Scale Racing channel. And then we've got Hakari Rin in car 16, that red Evora. We'll see what happens. I'm hoping that we will have lots of good racing. The Wingover normally provides, so yeah. Anyway, don't forget to do the usual things, like, comment and subscribe. Let's get down to the track overview. So there's my blue Exerge. Last time's championship winning thing that Q-Boy does well in trucks. So this car is now owned by James Sterling. He has spoke to the track owner and has bought that off him. There's Rainbow Girls daily driver, and you can see James Sterling down with her. Cuboid and Hakari are both racing today. The Vulcans. 2 sets. Cuboid in set 1, Hakari in set 2. We'll see how that goes. Track safety teams are ready. The guys that are racing in the grand final are there watching. Cars that are already out are there, with the exception of that one. Our thanks go to our sponsors, the team at the BERCC, Kelden Raven at Kelden Raven Customs, who stood up at the end here, we'll see him in a second. Cuboid at 4 Cubed Racing. My brother Phil at Tomley RC. And this episode's main sponsor is John at Modelmatic, stood there with the Flying Fenman, Kelden Raven and the track owner. Let's get this first set up to the line and get down to the racing. Set up for race 1 of set 1 of Redemption. We are trying a new overhead camera angle today. We'll see how that works out for us. And up at the line, on the front of the blue lane, we've got Patty Cakes in the yellow. On the front of the red lane, we've got Cuboid in the orange and gold. On the rear of the red lane, we have got Greasy in the silver. And on the rear of the blue lane is Erick Z in the green. 3, 2, 1, race. Cuboid is the only one to finish. Patty Cakes pulled it up and has rolled over. We'll get the track safety teams out to her, and the other 2 have stopped part way down. Everyone's been recovered. Patty Cakes is okay. They're all back up on the line. Race 2. On the front of the blue lane is the green car of Erick Z. On the front of the red lane is Patty Cakes in the yellow. Behind Patty is Cuboid in the orange. On the rear of the blue lane is the silver car of Greasy. 3, 2, 1, race. Patty Cakes and Erick Z finish. The other 2 do not. Moving on to race 3, and it's all fairly even. Back up the line, on the front of the blue lane is the silver car of Greasy. On the front of the red lane is the green car of Erick Z. Behind Erick Z is the yellow of Patty Cakes, and Cuboid in the orange and gold is on the rear of the blue lane. 3, 2, 1, race. And again, Patty Cakes and Cuboid have failed to finish. I need to check the results for who got the silver and the green. And set 1 is set up the line for race 4, and anybody can win this. There is 1 point between them. The current points leader is Erick Z in the green McDonald's on 6 points. Everybody else is on 5 points. On the front of the blue lane is Cuboid in the orange. On the front of the red lane is Greasy in the silver. Behind Greasy is Erick Z in the green. And on the rear of the blue lane is Patty Cakes in the yellow. 3, 2, 1, race. Cuboid, Patty Cakes, Greasy, Erick Z. Moving on to set 2, the results of set 1. First, Cuboid on 10, second, Patty Cakes on 8, and then joint third was Greasy and Erick Z. So currently Cuboid and Patty Cakes are through, but I think these 4 guys up at the line will have something to say about that. And in fact, 2 could go through from this because 10 is not particularly a lot of points. Cuboid is not exactly safe. Now, we have got the British racing drivers on the blue lane, and we have the American racing drivers on the red lane to start off. On the front of the blue lane is Strike in the white. On the front of the red lane is John Receiver in the yellow. Behind John is Brandon from Scale Racing Channel in the lime, and Hakari Rin, racing for Raven Customs, is on the rear of the blue lane. 3, 2, 1, race. And Brandon is the only one to finish with a little bump through from Hakari Rin. Back at the line for race 2. On the front of the blue lane is Hakari in the red. On the front of the red lane is Strike in the white. Behind Strike is John Receveur in the yellow version of the white car. And Brandon from the Scale Racing Club in the lime is on the rear of the blue lane, behind the guy that helped him finish in the last race. 3, 2, 1, race. Strike, Hakari, Brandon and John Receveur hasn't finished. I'll just check those results. I currently don't know the outcome of that last race. You will by now, because it will be on the slide between that and now. That was too close to call on the small camera we got here. Got to wait until we get it on the big screen and go frame by frame to see whether Hakari got across the line first or whether Strike got across the line first. Now they're back up the line, ready for race 3. Brandon in the lime is on the front of the blue lane. Hakari in the red is on the front of the red lane. Strike in the white is behind Hakari, and John Receveur in the yellow is behind Brandon. 3, 2, 1, race. Brandon, John Receveur, Hakari, Strike. Moving into race 4, the only thing that we can say is that Brandon from the Scale Racing Channel in the lime is through, because he's currently on 12 points, which is more than the 10 that Cuboid got. We can also say that John Receveur in the yellow isn't. He is on 3 points. Even if he wins this race, that will put him on 8, which is less than Cuboid got. So yeah, as it stands at the minute, Brandon and Cuboid. But this race could change it all. On the front of the blue lane is John Receveur in the yellow. On the front of the red lane is Brandon in the lime. Behind Brandon is Hakari in the red. And behind John Receveur is Strike in the white. 3, 2, 1. And Brandon is the only one to finish. Final results are as follows. Through to the grand final next week on 17 points is Brandon in car 12, the lime Evora. Through to the grand final next week is Cuboid, the reigning champ, in car 5, the gold and orange Elise, on 10 points. So Cuboid has got one last chance to do the double. I don't know whether he'll manage it. We'll see next week. Those eliminated: Patty Kakes in the yellow. We have got Greasy in the silver, Erick Z in the green, Strike in the white, Hakari in the red, and John Receveur in the yellow. It was interesting. The wing over track, as per usual, providing the entertainment. It was so close, going over the frame after frame after frame to see what happened between Hakari and Strike, but at the end of the day it didn't make a difference because of the outcome of the other races. But Strike did just have it on the line. and there should be a slide of that been inserted. Let me stop things there and get everything moved round and get them lined up in the starting order for next week's grand final. Starting on the front of the blue lane will be Rainbow Girl, who is the number 2 seed as she goes through into the grand final on 16 points. On the front of the red lane will be Moose in the blackest spree. So we've got an S1 that Rainbow Girl's driving. We've got a standard Esprit that Moose is driving. Cuboid is also in an Esprit. We've got one Elise of the V-Man, which is on the back of the red lane to start off with. On the back of the blue lane is the Lime Evora of Brandon. And in front of that is the white Evora GT4 of Matthew Harding. So 3 Elise, 2 Evora, and 1 Esprit. That's how it will start out next week. Good luck to all the drivers. Brandon going through on 17 points is the top pick, but he's starting at the rear. We'll see what happens, and 6 cars at once always makes things interesting. Thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to do the usual things, and we'll catch you all again next week.